Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to see how we can grab data from a SharePoint list, also grab an Excel file which we have saved as a template in a library, bring that data from the SharePoint list into that Excel file, save it in another folder, and then delete the data that we just exported in that Excel file so that the SharePoint list gets emptied every week. Let's take a look how we can do that. So this idea came from one of my viewers as a comment on one of my latest videos. As you can see here is the comment. It's in German, so I'm going to translate it for you. And as you can see, here's the comment. Hello Elias, is it also possible for you to make a video that the recorded data is saved weekly in calendar week in an Excel file? So you have already made a video and the file is always saved weekly, calendar week 1, 2, and so on. What would be good is that the data that has been moved in is deleted from SharePoint, as if you had started to collect new data. Greetings from Ersin. Thank you, Ersin, for the comment. And yeah, let's take a look how we can do that. So as you can see, the flow is already finished. Let's take a look how it works, and then we can see how we can build it. So if I am going to go to SharePoint now, I can see that I have an old SharePoint list of mine, which I have some device order data. And what I did is I also, this is the same one. I also went and created a new library, which I cannot see here. Let's go to content, and I called it archive. This is a new library created from here, document library. And if you go inside, you will see two folders. One is called Data Archive, and one is called Templates folder. The problem is that with Power Automate, we cannot create a new Excel file from scratch. So we have to have it somewhere as a template prepared already with a table, so that we can then copy it and use it for our data. So that's why we have here a templates folder. And if we take a look, we have here one template Excel file, which I've called archive template. And if I open it, it's just an empty table with the columns that I'm going to use for exporting the data from SharePoint list into this table. If I close it, this remains here, of course. This is our template. And what's going to happen is this was going to be copied into the data archive, where it will be populated with the data. And of course, you can save it wherever you want. This is just for this showcase, what I thought of. And yeah, let's take a look how it works. And we are going to click test manually, save and test. And this is now going to launch the flow. Done. Flow is running. I've created here a manual trigger because I didn't want to create a recurrence flow for this showcase. But of course, for your case, you are going to need here a recurrence flow, so that it runs every week. And as you can see, the create file is completed. In the data archive, we have now a file with which is called data. I wrote it in German. KW is also CV, is like calendar week in German, and the number of this current week. So this is still running. It's getting the items and so on and so forth. We're going to go through that in a second. Now it is in the section where it is applying to each. This should mean that the data is coming in. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's populating 21. Now it should come a bunch, yeah, 33, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, how the data is coming into the Excel file, and I think I have like 100 rows. So I'm going to speed this a little bit up, and when this is done, we will see what is going on next. And as you can see, the flow has finished entering the data into our Excel file, and next it should continue now with deleting the items from the SharePoint list. If you go to the SharePoint list, we should be able to see here now we have 100. Let's see, 3 rows left. And maybe if I refresh again, the SharePoint list will be empty. And our Power Automate workflow has finished. The flow runs successfully. So let's take a look now how we can put this flow together. But first, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and stick around till the end. Okay, so here we are now. We are going to start with an instant flow. As I said, for your use case, if you want to have it happening every week, you will need to have a scheduled cloud flow with a recurrence, which means every Monday of the week or which day you want. But yeah, to trigger this flow instantly, I'm going to create an instant cloud flow, and I'm going to call it Excel or SharePoint to Excel flow. Really bad at naming. Anyways, manually trigger flow, create. Okay, so first we need to initialize some variables. First variable will be the calendar week. So let's search for variable, initialize variable, and I'm going to rename this initialize variable var calendar week. This will be my var calendar week, and it's going to be an integer. And the value here is going to be an expression. And I'm going to paste the expression that I use to grab the calendar week. So I'm dividing the day of the year UTC now by 7. No? And if we test this, I should get my calendar week in a second, which is 37. And if I see 37 is my calendar week for the week from 12th September until 18th of September, which is today. If that's not the way you calculate your calendar week, make sure you adjust this expression the way you need it. Huh? In my case, this should work. Okay, so next we need 2 more variables. I will go and search again for initialize variable. And this will be also a string, and this will be renamed to var file name. This will be also the name of my variable. Next, initialize variable again. This will be my var table name. Let me grab the name again. Nope, I don't want to comment. I wanted to rename it, so then copy that, paste it here. And that will be a string, and this was also a string. So why I'm doing this is because I want to save the file name in a variable and also the table name, because later on we are going to do a get tables action, and because we need the table name so that we can write the data in that table. Okay, next we are going to get the items from the SharePoint list. So we are going to do a get items action. And my SharePoint list is my development environment, list name, device order data. And I'm not going to limit in any way filter query. I'm not going to use it. Although Power Automate will constantly remind me to use that because of saving performance, which is a good point. But since I'm going to move all the data weekly in an Excel sheet, I'm going to have weekly only the data that I need to move. So I'm not going to have like extra data that's going to stay there. So that's why I'm not going to filter. But if you want to keep the data there and only grab, for example, specific data, then I suggest you use a filter query, of course. Okay, so that's our get items. Next, we are going to get the file content using the path. That's an action called get file content using path, which requires a site address and the file path. So in my case, as I said, I have the archive folder, a library with 2 folders. I'm going to go into that library and I'm going to grab the templates folder, the archive template. That's what I need so that I can create a copy of that into my other folder in the archive library. By the way, I didn't go through creating the library and the folder, so since I imagine you can already do that yourself. But let me know in the comments if you need help on that. So next we are going to create the file. Right, create file in there, and there it is in SharePoint. So it requires a site address again, which is my development environment. The folder path in this case will be again in my archive library, but in the data archive folder. So you see this is empty. So I'm going to click on the data archive folder name, and this will be populated here. The file name in this case can be anything. What it needs is the .xlsx ending at the end, so that it knows it's an Excel file. So I'm going to create a mixture between the name and the variable. So I'm going to write data, or maybe archive data, and then I want the var calendar week .xlsx. The file content, of course, is important. So here we have from get file content using path, the file content dynamic value. Next, I want to insert the file name into the variable that we initialize here at the top. So I'm going to set a variable, which is my file name variable, with the file name from create a file. So here we have the name of create file action. So next I want to get that file. So I'm going to do a get file properties only. I'm going to go to my site address. The library name is in this case the archive. Next I'm going to filter the query where the file name of that file that I'm looking for is equals the variable that we have set the action before. No? So if I'm going to copy it real quick, this will be my filter query. So file ref will provide us with the file name of that from that library, and equals the var file name, which was this one here. So now we have the file. Now we got the items from the SharePoint list, we got the template, we created the file, which is going to be populated, then we got the name of that file into a variable, and then we got that file again so that we can use it now. So now we have that file in the hand and we can start writing in it. And that's how you should imagine it. So since we're doing a get files, I want to be sure that this file already exists. So if it has been created, it should be there, of course. But I want to make sure that this file was created. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to see if in a condition, if the length of the body and the values of the get files action is greater than 0. So that will be an expression which I'm going to copy real quick for you and explain it. So we are doing, we have the body of the get files properties only action, and then the value. We have the body and then the values. In that value is where all the properties are saved. And if it is, if its length is greater than 0, it means that we have a file. If it's not, then it means the get files action responded with an empty string. So it means that the file doesn't exist. The reason why I'm doing this is because if the file was not created, I want to send a reminder email. And to do so, we need to change this run after configuration. Because if the file fails here, the flow is going to stop, and this condition here is worthless. So what I'm going to do is I want that the variable and the file names and the condition to happen also if is successful, but also if it has failed. The same from this for this one here. The same for this one here as well. So if this step fails, create file, this will still happen, and this one will result to 0, and then if it is 0, it's going to send me an email. send an email. So I'm going to use my email address here. I mean, you can put whoever you want there, but in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. Archiving failed, and the same I'm going to write in the body as well. You can make it, of course, more intuitive and pretty, but it's just for the idea. Okay, this is the worst case scenario. If the file is there and has been created, then we need to go and populate it. So next we need to do a get tables action. We have the location, which is in my development environment. The document library is my archive, and the file, we can use the create file ID. So from the create file, we have that ID, which we can use here. Okay, so now we have the tables. Next, I want to save the name of the table into my variable var table name, so that I can use it in the populating rows action. But we have a small issue here, because if I create a set variable action, and the variable is the var table name, and I put the value here from get table as a name, since it's a get action, it will create a loop. I don't like loops when I don't need them. So I'm not going to use this. I'm going to delete it again, and I'm going to write a function. Let's delete this. So my function, or the expression, let's copy it real quick so that we can save some seconds, and I'm going to explain to you. So I want the outputs of the get tables, what brings me back when I do a get tables action. Then I'm going into the body and the values, which is the deepest layer. Oops. And since we're going into an array, we need to search for the name key, but based on an index. Because otherwise you cannot search in an array. We need the index. And since we're looking for the first item, we are going to write the 0, because as we said in the last video, the index in arrays begins from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So we need the first item with key called name, and then it's going to give us its value. So if I say OK, this should save the name of that table. It's actually only one table into this variable. Okay, so next we are going to add rows into that table. List rows, let's go to Excel. Add a row into a table, please. So the location is again my development group. Document library is my archive document library. The file is the ID from create file again. And the table, I'm going to enter a custom value, and I'm going to get the table name. Now it's asking for the rows. So I'm going to create the curly brackets here. And I've already seen in my template that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 columns. And I've copied them all. So now I'm going to paste them into, let's copy again. Try and paste them in here. And I'm going to put them one below of each other so that it's better to read. Manufacturer name, device name. We have device type, price, processor, memory, storage, and screen size. So each of them needs now to be in quotes. And in front of each of those keys, we need a colon. Okay. So we have now the keys, and now we need to put the values. The values are coming from the dynamic content. So we have a title from get items, And now this is going to create a loop, of course, no? Because we are going for each item, we're going to create a row, no? In our Excel file. So next is device ID. Okay, so this is my key value pairs for entering the rows into the table. Yeah, as you can see, I make a big mistake. So each key value pair needs, of course, to be separated by a comma. That's why it is complaining. And now it should be good to go and allow me to save. This is the complaint from Power Automate saying you have to use Power Query. I know. So next and last, I want to delete the items from my Sharepoint list. So there it is. The list name is the device order data, and the ID is from my get items action. So this is going to create a loop again, because the get items action always gives you multiple items back. Okay, one other thing that you need to keep in mind when you do a get items in the settings, we have here the threshold. I think the threshold is limited to 100 items. So if you have more, that's not going to show you. So turn pagination on and bring it to 2000 or something like that. I think that's the maximum. Click done and that should be okay. Okay, so now let's test it. Manually, I am going to save and test. And yes, I know, and you have to accept the permissions the first time, click continue, and then run flow. So this will now trigger the workflow, and we have here the calendar week already. It's creating the file. Let's take a look in the templates folder. That's my template. In the data archive, we already have a file. And now it's in the condition. It looks like it found the file and it got the table. The table is called table 1. And we have here archive data 37. That's my name of the file. And now it is putting the data in there. We have 101 rows. And let's close that one and take a look what's happening inside the Excel file. And as you can see, it's populating. I've noticed an issue here, and I haven't found a solution yet. It creates a blank row at the beginning. As you can see, it's working. It's populating the data from SharePoint. I haven't found a way to delete it or to make it start from this part here. If you know and if you have a tip, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to adjust and learn further. So yeah, as you can see, the Excel file is being now populated with data, and this should be finished now in a second. Okay, so you see the data has been entered and the Excel file is filled out with that information. Now we can see that Power Automate flow is going on the next action and deleting the items from a SharePoint list. So let's see here, we have, as you can see, it's already updating and deleting the data. We have now 74 selected. If I refresh, 30 selected, which is the case. Yeah, as you can see, that's a workflow. That's everything I think requested in the comment from the viewer. I'm grateful for every comment that you leave in my videos, and I'm also more grateful if you bring ideas like this, which hopefully will help also other people. So if you liked the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up to the video, and yeah, stick around for more videos to come. Cheers! Thanks for watching.